Good morning, students. So today we'll start with first law of Newton. I gave you a little bit of introduction in the last video, but today we will explore it more. Now, yesterday I told you what the definition of first law of Newton is, that if a body is at rest, then it will continue to be at rest. If a body is in motion, it will continue to be in the motion until and unless an external force is applied on it. Okay, I gave you an example also that if a body is moving, its speed can be increased or decreased to zero only if an external force is applied. Otherwise it will keep on moving with the same speed for infinite amount of time. I also told you that the most common external force is friction. The friction is required to slow down a body. Okay, this friction can be because of the surface on which the body is moving, or it can be because of a brake of bodies like cars and two wheelers. Now let us say that there is a body of certain mass m. Okay, the body is initially at rest. Now if we start applying a force, then this body might start moving, but it is not necessary that this F is sufficient to move m. Okay, the body will try to stay at rest. That is, force is not sufficient. Okay, now what property of the body is there which is making this force to be non-sufficient? We have studied that if force is applied to a body, the body will start moving, but is the amount of force necessary, or any little or large force can move a body? Well, it depends on a property of a body which is called inertia. The inertia is the property of the body due to which it tries to resist any change. The body resists any change in its state of rest or motion. That is, this property inertia, it will enable the body to resist any change. Now if the body is at rest, if this box is at rest and I am applying force, then the box will try its best to not change its state. That is, it will try its best to not moving due to the property inertia. Now in the common life, in our we can see that suppose if there is a truck, and there is a car. Now which one of these will be easier to push? Both of them are at rest, and if we are trying to move them, then which one of the out of these two, the truck or the car, will require lesser force to start moving? Now we know by our experience that car requires less force, the truck requires more force. Now why is that? This is because of the property of inertia. The truck has more inertia and the car has less inertia compared to the truck. Hence, we require more force to move the truck and we require lesser force to move the car. That means we can say that inertia of a body depends upon, or we can say proportional, depends upon the mass of the body. Larger the mass of the body, more is its inertia. That is, it will try to resist any change in its state of rest or motion. Now if a truck is moving and a car is moving, suppose both of them are moving at the same speed of 50 km per hour. Now we know by our experience that to stop the truck we require more force than to stop the car. Why is it that? Because of inertia. If the truck is moving, now it will not want to stop. To stop it, we require a large amount of force. This amount of force is defined by inertia, which in turn is defined by the mass. So we can say that the body which has more mass will be more difficult to start moving or more difficult to stop moving. It goes both ways. If the body is at rest, it will try to be at rest. If the body is in motion, it will try to continue the motion. Okay, so why is that? Because of the property of inertia. The inertia is the product of first law of Newton. Similarly, I'll give you second law of Newton. Now, this second law of Newton is more mathematical in nature. It states that any force that is applied on the body is directly proportional to rate of change of momentum. Now, first of all, we'll describe what is momentum. Now, momentum again is a vector quantity. It is a vector quantity. Okay, it is denoted by small p in most of the books, so we'll use the symbol small p, and it is equal to the product of mass of the body and velocity of the body. Since it is a vector quantity, we will use the vector sign. So momentum is equal to product of mass of the body and velocity of the body. So if there is a body which has more mass, then it will have more momentum. If it has more velocity, again it will have more momentum. Momentum depends both on mass and velocity. Now we know that, so we'll take two examples. Suppose there is a truck. Its mass is 1000 kg, and suppose it is moving with a velocity of 50 kilometers per hour, or moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second. We'll take the SI units. Suppose there is a car whose mass is, let us say, 500 kg, and it is moving with a velocity of 25 meter per second. Now, which one of them will have more momentum? Momentum of truck will be equal to 1000 into 10, which is 10,000 kg meter per second. Momentum of car will be 500 into 25. Now we can see that we can compare which one has the more momentum. So momentum, we cannot say that momentum of truck is always more than momentum of car. It depends on both mass and velocity. Okay, now we come back to the second law. The force is directly proportional to rate of change of momentum. Let us say that a body has initial velocity u and final velocity v and mass m. Okay, then the initial momentum will be mu, the final momentum will be mv. Change in momentum will be mv minus mu, final momentum minus initial momentum, and rate of change of momentum means divided by time. So this gives our formula F proportional to mv minus mu upon t. Now if we remove the sign of proportionality, we introduce a constant, any constant k, mv minus mu upon t. In SI system, k equals to 1. We find it by the series of experiments that k is equal to 1. So we are given the formula mv minus mu upon t. Now in the numerator we can take m common, v minus u upon t. Now from our previous classes we know that v minus u upon t is equal to acceleration. So I can say that force equals to mass into acceleration. So this gives you another equation. This equation is important. It is used largely in solving numericals. So this is your main statement of the second law of Newton, that force is directly proportional to rate of change of momentum, and out of this statement through derivation we find out this equation, that F equals to mass into acceleration. Rest we will continue in next video. Thank you.